If you see one corgi, there are 7 other corgis in the photo. So if you fight one, you're fighting all of them.
The best way to have a good idea is to have a lot of ideas. So every week, authors Clayton Smith and Benjamin Wallace sit down with a bit of inspiration and try to see if there's a story there. At the end, you decide. Is it a good story, or is it just another of a billion bad ideas? Hey Clayton, we are back with a billion bad ideas. It's this is our first show of 2026. I believe it's 2026, and this week we both saw this online. I shared this with you, and I think you shared it with me about the same time. The inspiration this week comes from an article that was about a man. The article was sad because it was "The Court Refuses Trial by Combat" is the headline, and it was a man in England that the line here says a court has rejected a 60-year-old man's attempt to invoke the ancient right of trial by combat rather than pay a €25 or 25-pound fee for a minor motoring offense. And I love that idea. I am all in on the idea of having that be an option instead of a monetary fine or time served. Like let's bring back trial by combat.
It does bring up some interesting questions though, right? I mean, I'm not up on the conversion rate, but I don't think a 25-pound fee is, that's not probably breaking most people's bank. Certainly if you're going to fight like the Mountain from Game of Thrones, that's riskier than paying $25 or 25 pounds.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. It would depend on the opponent. I don't even know what the article doesn't even say what this man's plan was. He trying to fight the judge or what are they?
I don't know. Well,
barrister, whatever they are.
If Game of Thrones is to be believed, I think you could choose a champion. So I think what this means is he could either fight himself or he could choose someone to fight in his stead. But then I assume in this case, either the judge or maybe the crown, maybe the king. I don't know how law works over in Great Britain, but someone over there gets to pick the champion.
If it was you versus King Charles, I think, I'd step into the ring with him. He's
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but got those swollen hands. He can't hold a mace, not anymore.
But I think that's, we're talking about the conversion rate too. 25 pounds, even if it's dollar for dollar or twice as much, it's not a giant fee. It's obviously a very minor offense. But I think if you were going to have this as a system of justice, the severity of the crime or the severity of the fee would probably have to correlate to the ferocity of your opponent. Like this is really low on the totem pole. So like, who or what would you have to fight for what if it was a $25 fee over here?
Well, I think there's some calculus here too, because this is a 60-year-old man. And so like the kind of opponent that I think would make sense for me for a 25-pound fee, I don't think it's the same as a 60-year-old man. I don't know this man. He may be the most jacked 60-year-old on the planet. So maybe he's in better shape than I am. But I'm going to go ahead and guess that probably he's got lower bone density for sure. He's been losing protein for the last couple decades. I got to say for him, I think you've got a couple fun options. I'll just throw one out. A small child, because they're going to take it seriously. They're going to go for it. But I think a 60-year-old man can still take a small child.
So an enthusiastic small child. Like someone, they're really into it. Like that's an interesting thing because something like this, like maybe if it's a younger man, the prime of his life, maybe an angry corgi, right? For 25, and that's not much of a threat, but maybe a 60-year-old man, if he's frail, if he's infirmed, that could be a dangerous fight. So
that's true.
It definitely have to be a case-by-case basis. So you'd probably need some kind of judge involved just to kind of set the terms.
And I would say too that one of the things I know about England in particular is that I'm pretty sure all the corgis travel in packs. From all the pictures I've seen, there's just if you see one corgi, there are 7 other corgis in the photo. So if you fight one, you're fighting all of them, and that's going to be tough.
A pack of corgis, an old man versus a pack of corgis. That would be
so. That's not fair.
Okay. I'd like to see that, and that's more out of morbid curiosity than any kind of like. I don't think I've got a literal dog in that fight. At either way, I'm not. If he was double parked, I'm not rooting for one over the other. But you would think that even beyond Judge Judy and Judge Wapner, this would become a spectator sport.
I'm actually amazed this is not a reality show already. I think we're on our way. I have an important question. If you fight, if you have a duel, do you have to fight to the death? If it's trial by combat, does someone have to die for it to be over, or can you just like give or be just immobile?
Someone yields. Well, how does a corgi tap out? I don't know.
Yeah, you got to kill that corgi. Are you prepared to kill 7 corgis? I don't know.
Well, see, now you got PETA involved, and it's gonna be something
that's right.
No one wants that. I don't know. I think there'd be different rules for different things. The competition's got to fit the crime.
Yeah. So you're hoping you have a very fair-minded judge, like a very equity-forward judge who's going to take stock of your whole situation and say, here are the rules for this trial by combat.
Yeah, like you get a Texas hanging judge like out of the Old West, and you're in trouble.
Oh man,
no matter what you do, copyright violation. You've got to fight a lion. We're going to need a lot more lions, and I think that's probably an upside to it is animal preservation, and we just need more. So I think you'd have a lot more people behind that if you want to see more bears fighting people.
Well, and safari parks are a big deal right now. I think there's a big market for this sort of thing. I will say I never have thought traditionally of trial by combat as man versus beast. I think that's a really interesting element to bring into it. I always assumed it had to be a man versus a man, or human versus a human.
Well, I think civil cases, absolutely. I think one person suing another, it's plaintiff versus defendant.
That's true. If it's like a mass murder situation, you want to make sure that person's going to pay, right?
I guess I was leaning to more like wasteland justice and even like Coliseum kind of things. Throw an animal in there. That's why I'm thinking. But it could be all sorts of different levels, all sorts of different things. And that's the beauty of this is the creative punishment for the crime at hand. Mm-hmm. What I want to know about this was this guy even did he plead guilty? Is this based on a plea, or is this just like he was already found guilty? Was he just trying to look, instead of $25, I'll fight a hobo? Is that what he was was he trying to barter, or was it
That's true. That's a great question. I think my understanding is that you don't plead anything. You say we're going to fight, and if I lose, I'm guilty. And if not, then I'm innocent. But that I'm not sure that makes sense now that I say it out loud.
No, I think that's the most sensible way to look at it. Guilt and innocence is determined by victory in the ring.
by might.
But I think that definitely it sets up an interesting world. What kind of story do you think would come out of this? I'm kind of picturing one where. Are people getting? Is there a character, or our hero or our antagonist, or is there a class of people that intentionally break the law so they can get into these fights, so they can benefit from the purse or the illegal offside betting?
I think so. I think DraftKings is big in this world. I think there's going to be. I think so. Because I don't imagine you don't get a reward in the actual trial other than you get your freedom, which is it's a great reward. But if you're putting yourself in the danger of trial by combat, it's a high risk, low reward in that respect, because you're already free. So you're going to fight for your own freedom. How about you just don't do the crime? But I think there has to be this kind of third party, betting system where you are just raking in cash.
Oh, I think there has to be. And I almost see we've talked before about, the desperate character, just one more heist, one more job, and they're out. And
one more trial by combat.
Well, is this one where obviously the tougher the crime, the bigger the crime, the tougher the stakes, the bigger the stakes. So does someone go out and commit the ultimate crime in order to face the ultimate trial by combat? The ultimate.
What do you think the ultimate crime would be for this story?
I mean, would you let a murderer off if he could beat a corgi up? I don't know. I think, there's, is murder it?
I think it's got to be bigger than murder, or at least like a specific murder. You've got to murder someone really important, or you got to murder a lot of people. And that doesn't feel good because you can't root for that person.
No, you can't. That's a bad way to do that one.
Yeah. What if the story is then about the person who fights on behalf of the court? Who's that
Oh,
person?
the public
Who's
defender.
Yeah, who's the the title's already perfect.
Yeah.
Who's that person? Who gets that job? Maybe that's the hero.
Interesting. The new guy joins the circuit, and all of a sudden, like they're allocated. Like, no, you've got to go into the ring, and do you have to fight for people that can't fight for themselves?
That's right. That's right. So you're the one who has to fight for this 60-year-old guy.
Yeah, and then that's a very interesting take. That
because you could root for that
80s,
guy.
That feels worthy of like an 80s action film to me.
I think so. And there's that tension because, like, if he's a public defender, this person is only 60 years old, and so he's like, it's good that he's in there fighting for him. But the 60-year-old just murdered 78 people, so you don't really you want him to win, but you don't want this guy to lose because he's our hero. That's some drama.
What do lawyers call it? The moral ambiguity. What do they do? They have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even thinking of the insults. I'm thinking of what they're taught in school, where they have to be morally ambiguous enough to defend.
Right. I don't. Yeah. Yeah.
But you're there to. Does he throw the fight? Does he lose the fight? That has consequences for him directly too. So it's like you'd be a moral champion and a very dead public defender.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I
think that's our story.
Yeah.
What's his arc?
I think the world is created. What's his arc?
Yeah. What's his path?
Bright-eyed new employee out to do the public good. Yeah. Is there in there? Do we find out that the system is surprise, corrupt? That would be
that would be such a twist, such a strange twist.
And on his way in his rise to as he becomes a better lawyer and a better public defender, he also becomes the people's champion, right? So we've got kind of like a wrestling kind of thing going on. But I think there's that. Does he have it in him to do the right thing when it matters most? Because as you're going, as a public defender that has to fight for those that can't fight themselves in trial by combat, the more you win, the more your star will rise, and the more you're doing it for yourself as much as you are for the people you're representing.
Yeah. And yet, the more you win, the more your star rises, the more you are conceivably murdering people who are trying to serve justice.
Technically, but not legally.
Well, that's an important distinction. I think you're right.
I think so too.
But the hero can struggle with that, obviously, as part of his ascent into the upper echelon of public defense.
What is good? What is? I mean, it really is. It's the eternal question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited by this idea, but I don't want to paint it one way or the other. I would like to leave it up to the people watching to decide if this is a good idea or another of our billion bad ideas that we just throw on the pile with everything else. Let us know in the comments.